I know that you were very outraged when Kensara Wiwa was killed. And this was another instance where the state, the Nigerian nation state, believes that to kill an idea, you kill a few people. Instead of which it radicalized the Niger Delta. And I know that ultimately you became part of the conversation about how to restore a sense of a little bit of calm in that region. What does it take, in your view, for a country to address what you might call the open sore that generates Biafra, generates Boko Haram, generates the Niger Delta militancy, and so on? What would it take for our country to see a modicum of peace?
It's a combination of many factors. First of all, there is the answer of brute force.
Yes.
The rampaging herdsmen have got to be neutralized. They do not understand dialogue. Boko Haram has got to be neutralized, militarily I'm saying, because it does not recognize dialogue. So for me, those are festering but peripheral issues which do not subject themselves to the rational process, to dialogue, to even the offering of alternative options and so on. These are totally dedicated obstacles to even harmonious coexistence. And they have committed crimes against humanity of a horrendous dimension that cannot simply be taken care of through amnesty program, like in the Delta region, which blew up pipes, occasionally kidnapped some individuals. We need a genuine, authentic, inclusive conference, national conference. Stabs have been made, as you know, even in Pronaco, we tried to do that, but each one has been tinkering with the situation. Truth and Reconciliation and Justice,
South Africa.
This part of the process, but it shouldn't stop at the meeting, the conference table, the production even of a tome. You've got to take that further, systematically relate policy statement, execution of projects, relate all those to the outcome, the details of the propositions in that, so that people feel not just, to use that cliché word, own that process, but to be part and parcel, a visible, palpable part of the implementation of the recommendations of such
In 1986, you became the first black African to win the Nobel Prize for Literature. What has it meant for you as a writer and as a citizen of the world, as an intellectual, that prize?
One word: hell.
Good. Describe that hell for me.
It has bred demands, expectations. It has bred even envy in some areas. One can cope with that. But antagonisms were totally unnecessary, uncalled for. But that's part of human life. Any kind of achievement does that. But somehow in the back of one's mind, one feels that in the arts, in the art world, creative world, we should be different from the rest. I think most of us, without accepting it, we feel it inside. So that's been a bit of a disappointment. Now it lost me 90% of the rest of my anonymity, and I'm somebody who enjoys anonymity. Enormously. Then it made me over ambitious, having more money than I'd ever seen in my life, The result is that I'm now permanently broke because being ambitious means you are embarking on projects which normally you wouldn't even talk because you know you don't have the means.
So when you won the prize, Achebe made a statement where he said that the Nobel Prize did not make one the Ashiwaju of African literature. And in a subsequent statement, you said you didn't want to be the Ashiwaju of African literature. You wanted to be the Obuefi. So this was playful banter. But in what spirit did you receive that statement? Did you understand Achebe to be speaking lightly, or did you take it as a criticism?
Yeah. The subject was not even literature when he made that statement. And so I was disappointed that he created a nexus between my normal life, my normal political, socio-political life, my normal way of articulating an opinion. It was almost like, because I won the Nobel Prize, I have no right to do what I used to do before all my life. So I responded to it, even though I wanted to make light of it. I was a little bit disappointed, you know, and I didn't see the necessity. Nothing, that particular subject, which was under contention, didn't relate to literature. So it was like, oh, am I now to carry this burden for the rest of my life? That people will think I'm doing what I used to do before, simply because I now have a Nobel Prize. That's a little bit.
There are people who feel that there should be an Achebe camp and a Soyinka camp, and they should line up, you know, behind one or the other. I remember coming to Achebe years ago. You were not in town, but Ngugi and I were there, and I did an event, and somebody spoke to ask me a question, and he said, "You are an Achebe man."
Really?
Yes, you know. So, yeah. So, but what do you think of Soyinka? I said, well, I'm as much a Soyinka man as an Achebe man, you know. So I said, you don't know my relationship with Soyinka. And I said, I also happen to be an Ngugi man, you know. So, but there's that sense of this binarity where...
And what's, for me, a lot of it is also what I call ignorance.
Yes.
Perhaps literature is too much exposed, and everybody feels they have a right to pronounce authoritatively, not only on the product, but on the producers of the product and their positions in society. The way they will pontificate on literature is something I would never do. If I'm talking about architects, musicians, even though I consider myself a little bit knowledgeable about music, what else? Doctors, you know, except a doctor is guilty of malpractice or whatever. Even lawyers, unless I've actually been there and seen a lawyer argue a case, but people just feel that literature is open territory, and that annoys me a lot. Open territory, and that's what, come on.
Anybody can be an expert. So Achebe's last book, There Was a Country. I know that you've been a bit ambivalent about that book, and it created a certain kind of response. In fact, in my view, it was one of the most weird responses that I've seen to a book, because there were those who defended the book without reading it, and those who attacked the book without reading it. But I do know that you read it, and what was the sense that you got from that final work?
Well, first of all, it was an honest piece of work in the sense, not just that no holds barred, but the analytical comments were based on personal experience. The part of it which I thought was unfortunate was where he, not just as a glancing remark, but took pains to suggest that other Nigerians were envious of Igbo. I found that a bit disappointing, you know. and totally unnecessary. That's all. Outside of that, I felt it was a frank and honest book, and one that that summed up a gamut of emotions that were formerly just expressed in smaller essays, like
The trouble with
leadership,
trouble with
trouble
Nigeria.
leadership, etc., etc. So it was an informative and educational piece of work, and necessary. I think it's necessary for Nigerians to know exactly how they're seen, even by one of them, in that frank way.
Yes.
There's a bit more left, and we'll be showing you that concluding part soon. You may want to watch out for it. I hope you have enjoyed your time with us today. As always, we'll be delighted to get your feedback through any of our social media platforms displayed on your screen. I am Olakunle Kasumo. Remember, one great book can change your life. Bye-bye.